When the idea of a project is initiated by a person or a group of people, this person or the group of people do not have in advance a complete thoughts about what would be the content or would be the constituent of the project itself, meaning that they would not know the details. They don't know what are the specific activities that need to be done, right? It's only an idea. And the first step, if you want, towards planning your project is to identify the activities. And to do that, we implement a very important tool called the work breakdown structure, WBS. As the name implies, you break down your project into smaller and smaller components, and these components into smaller activities, and these activities into smaller tasks, until you reach a level where that's it. You cannot break down this entity anymore. So you come out with a final list of your activities. Okay, this is where, and this is when exactly you can start planning for your whole project. Okay, this is an illustration of the WBS that we talked about in the previous slide. Let's have a very simple example about how the WBS works. You can see first here that we have different levels, right? Level 1, 2, 3, and 4, where level 1 includes the whole project. This is what I was referring to when you initiate the idea of a project. You simply describe the project itself, right? You don't have any detailed information about what would happen in order to achieve this project. And then you start breaking it down into level 2, which is the main components, then level 3, which are the lower tier components, and then the level 4, which are the individual activities and tasks to be done. So for example, let's say we are preparing a project of a dinner. We're inviting 10 people for a dinner and we want to prepare the food. So you decided that you want to do salads. Okay, so we have a salad here, and then we have, let's say, the main dish, chicken parmesan dish. You know, it's a very nice one. If you do not taste it, you have to ask someone to do it for you. And then you want to do a dessert. Let's say cheesecake, my favorite. So for the salads, right? First you need to do the vegetables, and then you need to do the dressing, okay, which is very important. It makes all the difference. For the vegetables, you need to wash the vegetables and you need to cut the vegetables. Then for the dressings, you need to mix herbs and oil, I don't know what, vinegar, etc. You mix it together and you make your dressing. Then for the chicken parmesan, the main dish here, you need to prepare your chicken. You need, chicken parmesan comes with pasta, so you have to boil the pasta, and then you have to prepare the sauce on the top after you finish your chicken. I'm not going to teach you now how to do it, but just very briefly. Then the chicken, you need to fry it, I think, and then you have to bread it. You do it chicken pane, and different other things. I'm not really very expert in cooking. My wife does it. And that's it. Then for the dessert, cheesecake, as we said, you have to prepare the crust, and then you have to prepare the content inside, which is the cream and the cheese. All right. So cream again and cheese, and then here you have the topping. You can have strawberry topping or different other flavors. So for the content itself is not easy because you have to mix your whipped cream with cheese and maybe butter. So you see, it's different. It's a complicated process. But when you break it down into smaller and smaller activities, you can do it. All right, and you will get a very nice dinner for your friends. They will be very happy. Okay, and now we come to the stage where we're going to start planning, the actual planning for these activities. So from the WBS, we have already recognized and listed all these activities, and now we are ready to schedule them, meaning that what activity has to start, which one comes next, which one comes next, until the end of the project. Now, a very important tool, very common tool, as I mentioned in the introduction, the Gantt chart. Okay, it has been there for more than 100 years, and as I told you, you can never go to a project, mainly construction projects, which are very complex projects, and you don't see a Gantt chart posted on the board of the project manager office. So what's so important about the Gantt chart? It shows the project manager all the activities. So it has a list of the activities on one part, and then on the other part, which is the main part of it, it shows the duration of each activity, and it shows that in a bar format. I'm going to show you, we're going to do an example soon. And so the project manager, every morning when he goes to the office, he can see according to the day of the calendar when we are now, he can see what are the activities that have been done so far, what's supposed to be done today, what's supposed to start tomorrow, etc. It's very important. So, but to prepare the chart, you need first to identify the activities, and we said that you do that using the WBS. But you also need to know the completion time, so you know the duration of each activity, and this one comes with experience. So in our course, of course, you're not responsible for that. Yeah, the durations of the activities will be given to us. Okay, but it needs experience in real life to come out with a completion time or a duration for all the activities. And then you need to decide on the sequence of activities. Now, this comes also with experience, because some activities, by logic, they have to, for example, one activity logically has to be done before a second activity can start. This is a logical, if you want, reason why the sequence is there. For example, I cannot paint a wall until I put the plaster on it. So this is very logical and technical. And in other cases, you need to schedule two activities in a sequence because they are using the same resource. So you have to finish the first activity, so you free up the resource from that activity and you assign it to the second activity. That's why they have to come into that sequence. Again, for the sake of this course, you are not responsible to determine the sequence. It will be shown to us in a precedence relationship table. So we talked a lot about activities, and now it's time to define it formally. What's an activity? It's a discrete task. Okay, discrete meaning that it's very specific. It has it can be done in a very limited period of time, and usually, and we know exactly what resources is needed to be done. And so that's it. This is an activity. Now, along with the definition of activity, we have to define what we mean by immediate predecessor. We say that an activity B has an immediate predecessor A when A is an activity that has to be done before B can start, right? This is what we mean by immediate predecessor. This is very important for our scheduling. Now, we put everything, all these designation of which activity is immediate predecessor for which activity, we put it in what we call a precedence relationship table, okay, which allow us to make sure, or we convey the information for the project manager that this is the right sequence, this is how it has to be done. Then he will use the technique that we're going to learn later in order to do the scheduling.